Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular Show.
Hello and welcome to the Print on Demand Cast. You know where you are. You're here each and every week listening to us talk about all things print on demand and sometimes other things. I don't know. We don't really ever talk anything other than besides life, but maybe that's, I keep saying we should do bonus shows and review like Ted Lasso or something. I don't know. Who would want to see it? Raise your hand. Let us know. It'd be fun for us. Anyway. As always with me, Travis Ross. Travis, how's it going, man? I know you had a busy day over there at Make Your Mark Design with some call outs and just kind of trying to get things all caught up.
Yeah, we've been dealing with some coronavirus stuff going through some Omicron. Different people. Yeah, Omicron. So I actually it kind of went through my whole house. And so that means my son, who was over to watch a game last weekend, like a week ago weekend, he was out. And then one of our other employees got it over the holidays. And then we had another one call in literally yesterday that I think she's got it. She hasn't confirmed that, but she's not feeling well. So she hasn't been here all week. Right. So yeah, we've just been, today was literally my first day back. CDC changed, some of the guidelines to where, it's like 5 days now, and then you have to wear 5 days. So technically I should be wearing a mask, but nobody's here, so I don't care. Yeah. But today I was here, wearing a mask and in production and trying to just get caught up. It's luckily this didn't happen last year, in December, obviously, but it's still, we still got, I'm looking at my order board over there across the room, and, there's 4 orders that are sitting over there that are just kind of in limbo right now as we just try to, keep our head above water with just our daily orders. So, and then plus we've got, we're trying to onboard several pretty large clients. And so that's kind of taken some of my time and just a lot going on. I mean, it's all, the onboarding stuff is good. The Omicron coronavirus isn't good. Yeah. That's not good. But it's kind of growing pains, but in the midst of growing pains, just curveball after curveball. Trying to catch up. You can probably hear it in my voice a little bit. Basically I just had kind of a chest cold, but it was positive, came back positive. So my wife got it, my daughter got it, my son got, we were all just kind of, we watched a lot of television this last weekend and last Thursday and Friday. So finished a lot of series that we'd been talking about finishing, and we can talk about those offline. Yeah. And I'll tell you all the good ones and all the bad ones.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. As always, I love series and movies and all of that stuff. It was great. But yeah, man, sounds like a crazy, crazy time. Glad you guys are doing better though. Last week, around New Year's, I think. I don't know if it was Omicron or not, but I had a head cold for like a day and a half, 2 days. Madeline got it. I think we got it from we were in Wyoming, some family there were getting over being sick, but they tested negative, so it could have been, couldn't have been, who knows. Either way, we're good to go here as well. So it's hard to say because Omicron is so mild that people sneeze and they go get tested, and that's why testing lines are like out the wazoo here. But glad everything is good, glad everything is back on track, and glad that we are here recording another edition of the Print on Demand cast. So let us go to everyone's favorite segment, the weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
So, Travis, I've been trying to become more proficient at cooking right now. It's a necessity, but I hate it. I get no enjoyment out of it. And that's not even part of the joke. That's just legitimately how I feel about cooking. My father-in-law is a food nerd. He nerds out about it. I do it because I need to eat. So I was cooking the other day and decided to make some homemade pizza. But I burnt my Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, man, that stinks.
Yeah, I should have used a low hot temperature. And that's this week's weekly dad joke. Yes, that was a good one. That's a nice pun. It's a nice pun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, as always, use it around your friends and let us know how big the eye roll is that you get when you say it. So, Travis, this week for the point of interest.
This is the point of interest. Please listen with your ear holes. Prepare for launch.
We decided, kind of by happenstance, as is, I think, most point of interests on the show, we're like, hey, that is kind of interesting. You stumbled upon a Reddit feed, and I don't have a Reddit. I just actually signed up because I was like, this is kind of cool. But we decided to do a mailbag, the Reddit edition, for the point of interest.
Yeah. I think it's actually called a subreddit. So if you're out there and you're like, really mad at Josiah for not knowing that, you can send your complaints to him. But yeah, we're going to do a Reddit edition. There's a print on demand subreddit that I've been, kind of just perusing, I guess. Every once in a while I'll go in and see what's going on. Every once in a while I go in and I'll post a print on demand cast thing saying, hey, we got a print on demand cast. And then I just get trashed by everybody saying that I'm spamming and I'm trying to, make $1 million with this show. So
the says a Reddit user Nimitz34, who I have no problem.
He doesn't like me
because he'll never listen to the show despite how trash he talks. Thinks that we're just trying to make millions of dollars off of you, our listeners. And if anyone's listened to this show for any length of time, you know that not only are there affiliate links, not affiliate links frequently, Travis and I actually talk about how this is literally a side hobby. Like we just enjoy talking about the industry. So, okay. So we found some questions. We're going to have 3 questions here. Question number 1 says, hello, I run an Etsy Printify t-shirt store, and I cannot make any profit with Printify. Above $40 is too much because a lot of money goes into fees, and I sell my shirts for $22.95. What can I do? Is there a cheaper alternative? And context, this particular person is in Europe. So, Travis, what can they do?
Well, it depends on how you want me to answer this. Do you want me to answer it like, Nimitz34 and just in true Reddit style? Because I could do that and just basically say, make better designs, sell your shirts for more, don't advertise as much because people will like your stuff if that doesn't suck. And then we can move on to question 2, or we could maybe, talk a little longer about it.
be a little bit more constructive with our feedback.
Right.
I agree. So yeah, I mean, if for this person being in Europe, what would be something that would be a piece of advice? Because there is VAT tax and a lot of stuff that you figure in when you're selling internationally that you don't have to think about when you're just selling domestically here in the States.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I've sold in Europe. I've sold all over Europe for a lot of time, and I still don't understand VAT. And to our overseas listeners, I apologize. I just don't understand it. It's just people will explain it to me like I'm a fifth grader, and I guess I'm like a third grader because I just don't get it. So I'm not sure. So obviously, I've sold from the U.S. into Europe and had to pay 20%. It's 20% VAT, value added tax. For those orders, but there's some type of like threshold that you have to, be above before you actually have to pay that or something. There's some things like that. But the thing that I did notice was that when I was using Printful, they were doing a 20% no matter what. It didn't matter because they just assumed that I was over the threshold, I guess, or whatever. So it was just an automatic line item on my invoices. So I'm assuming that's what they're referring to when they talk about VAT is just killing them, because they're selling from Europe into the US. So I don't know if it's all the same, if it's the same type of thing. But if you are having to pay VAT, I would say $22.95 is not enough, because it's literally 20% right off the top. And you're absorbing that. Like, I sell shirts for $22.95 plus shipping, and I'm not paying VAT, in the US. So that could, just immediately, I would say, raise your prices, and that, at least and take care of that 20% in that price somehow, because if that's something that you can't avoid another way. And I just don't know enough about the situation of this question or this person to really, give it much more than that. Just an assumption, really.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the, as the phrase goes, first blush theory here is, well, then raise your prices. I mean, that's kind of what we talked about before we realized that the person was in Europe. But yeah, you're going to want to factor in whatever percentage that is, that VAT, whatever VAT percentage that is, because it will offset that cost. And I think it's a place to start, see how that goes. Because you're going to be losing a lot just on that tax alone.
Right.
Question number 2. Hello, everyone. I'm struggling to find my niche. How did you find yours? Is there a process to find a niche that you are both passionate about and profitable? Man, I feel like I guess part of me feels like maybe most niches could be profitable. It maybe comes down to your designs, and the quality of them. I'm not trying to be Nimitz here, but but for me, and we've talked about this on the show too, the place you want to start is that niche that you're passionate about, and figuring out what will sell to that audience. And you are a part of that audience, and so you would think that you would have insight as to what might sell. So I would think maybe first look at the designs and what you're trying to sell to them. Travis, anything else about how to find a profitable niche aside from super proprietary things like E-Rank? Just kidding. On Etsy. But any other advice for finding a profitable niche?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think pretty much any niche can be profitable. It really depends on your designs. Like you said, it's got to be something that those people really will latch onto and want. And then B is your marketing. How are you marketing? How are you telling a story about that product that it's going to engage people in an emotional way to where they want to connect with that feeling or whatever it is by purchasing your item for sale? I mean, that's like marketing 101. And so really any niche can be profitable. I mean, one strategy we've talked about is starting some type of interest group on Facebook, a niche group, and then building that through community and just trying to get a larger audience until you can kind of maybe present them with a product and not just a, hey, now that you're all in my group, now you need to buy this, but more of a, hey, what do you guys think of this design? Would you wear this? Those kinds of things, and engaging them as a community because even though you have a niche and maybe you have 10,000 people that are all in the same group, not all of those, I mean, not everyone that likes that thing is in that group. And so, but that's a good sample size that you can kind of test something out and see if a larger demographic might be drawn to it if you did throw it up on Etsy. I mean, the other thing is, and that we've talked about is this, going wide and an inch deep and using Etsy just to test and, 20 cents to test for 3 or 4 months, and if you don't get a sale, you just don't renew it. If you do, well, maybe you've got something there. Maybe you want to invest in some marketing. Maybe you want to create a Facebook group around this particular niche. But it's so cheap to test with print on demand. That's the beauty of it. So you can kind of maybe go a little wider and try a bunch of different niches and see which one, A, gets the most traction, and B, you like the most. And go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be nice if I guess you could post this in Reddit and tag these people because we answered their questions. But perhaps there's more listeners out there with similar questions, like question number 3. Hello, I'm a beginner when it comes to print on demand, and I haven't done anything with it besides set up an account with TeePublic. I'm not sure whether I am supposed to create an image using software tools and make a design or just take it from somewhere. I am not that creative, but I do want to learn and make this ability to design something a skill. Graphic design, I guess. Any suggestions or advice? Anything will help. Yes. First of all, don't just take it from somewhere.
Please don't.
Frowned upon. It's a quick way to suddenly be without a TeePublic account. I'm sure Travis will hit some of these. There are softwares you can use, online softwares you can use. But I would also say, and we've talked about them a lot on this show, find a VA. We use a VA graphic designer ourselves because I know a little in Photoshop, but not enough. I'm not very proficient, or as proficient as I'd like to be. But we have a graphic designer as a VA, and he creates all of our designs for T-shirts and client designs and stuff like that. And you send him references, and we tell ours explicitly: do not copy anything else. You need to make something brand new.
Right.
So we'll send him, we like this font, we like this style, we like this color scheme, we like this kind of thing. And he'll follow along and send us something that is unique to us. So we're not getting anything claimed on IP or copyright, anything like that. So I would say find a VA. There's tons of sites that you can go to do that. One is onlinejobs.ph. Lots of talented people up on that site that you can find, or like there's Upwork and stuff like that as well. Upwork will probably be a little more expensive than a VA for onlinejobs.ph, but that's one of my suggestions. It's been one of the best things that we've done, is just kind of having a team of graphic designers that are affordable, that they get paid well, and they produce really good work.
Yeah, if you want to listen to one of our previous episodes, episode 17, utilizing virtual assistants, VAs, that's there for you too. You can try to find that episode 17. We talk all about that and take a little deeper dive into virtual assistants. And then one of the things that I couldn't find it, I was looking for it. We did a whole, I'm not sure if it was a point of interest or a whole episode on Photoshop alternatives. And there's a whole lot of Photoshop alternatives, some paid, some not. One of my favorite and one of the biggest answers in that actual subreddit thread was Canva. And that's canva.com. Great tool to easily kind of create your own designs. It has a lot of different templates that you can then exchange stuff from. You can upload your own, photos or different things, that you want to manipulate to create a cool design. That would be a good start. And then I wish I could find that episode, but maybe, I don't know. I guess I can't. So never mind. Vexels, of course, is another place that we've had Giro from Vexels on the show before. They have a great product. Thousands of designs that you can download the PSD file, so you can edit it in Photoshop, change it out, change a font, change some words, whatever you want to do. But a great starting point for somebody who's trying to just cut their teeth in graphic design. But yeah,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, don't take it from somebody else.
No.
Make it yourself, and or hire somebody to make it yourself or make it for you. Make sure you have an agreement with them that it's yours after they make it. You can just kind of write something up that they sign, and you get all of the actual, it's your property, I guess, when after they create it, they sign it over to you. Just make sure you do that. And then, you're off to the races. I don't know anything else, Josiah.
Yeah. I would just say that episode you're referring to about Vexels is episode 45 of the Print on Demand cast in the archives there with Jiro. So go check that out. They have a great product as well. So give that a listen as well. So, okay. Done with the point of interest, and on to this week's main event. Travis, you kind of brought this idea to the table, and I thought it was a cool thing to talk about, something that we certainly haven't covered, something that I haven't heard a lot of entrepreneurial podcasts cover. Yeah. So why don't you tell the folks what we're talking about and kind of what drove you to make that the main event?
Yeah. So as you guys know, I've sold online for a lot of years, did a lot of Amazon, FBA. And, that's kind of how I cut my teeth with some retail arbitrage and all of that, went through all of that stuff. And I remember, some conferences, maybe some blogs I read, different things. I remember some people talking about, coming into this new venture. It's your new thing. Maybe you're just starting this print on demand journey. Maybe you're just starting this e-commerce journey in general. And how do you tell your spouse or your significant other? And then beyond, how do you tell them? How do they respond? And so we wanted to this week talk about there's at least 3 types of spouses or significant others responses. And so we wanted to talk about those 3 types for our entrepreneur friends. So you may be in one of these 3 camps. We wanted to talk about some of the pros and the cons and just like kind of what things you can do to maybe, win some favor or maybe tread lightly or, as the case may be. So Josiah, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Yeah. So the 3, just so we'll kind of glaze over the 3 types, and then we'll go deep dive into each one. Okay. The first one is, of course, the one that you hope for, and that's the all-in. The second one is the on the fence, and the third one is the oh hell no. So, starting with number 1, the all-in. Again, that's kind of what you hope to hear. I know for myself. I spend a lot of time formulating ideas and like, oh man, this would be great. And then this, and you get really excited about it. And then you hope that when you share it with my wife or whoever, they're like, that's actually a really good idea. And I will tell you all after we go over all 3, which one my wife is, in my opinion. So the pros of the all in, of course, being on the same page is huge. That lends itself to a lot of peace in the home. So that's good. Yeah. Getting to work together and build something and also enjoy successes and learn from mistakes together. Anything about those pros that you want to kind of dive deeper on, Travis, in your experience?
Well, one of the things that I think that these pros kind of assume is that if your significant other is all in, that maybe they'll work on it with you. And that may or may not be the case. I mean, that like my wife is all in, but she's definitely not my partner in my venture. And I'll be honest, I wish she was. I wish she was more excited about my business and our business even. that she would want to kind of jump in with me, but she's not. And that's fine. She has other passions and other things. She's still all in. So I guess, one of the pros being getting to work together to build something is kind of there's a caveat to that they're not even, I guess maybe there's a fourth type, which is like, I'll join you, and that's really what that is. Because you could be all in without actually kind of jumping in the boat with you.
Yeah.
But I that's kind of what I would have preferred. I mean, I think it would have led to some potential frustrations. And in fact, she did work on the company with me for a season. And, early on when we were doing some of the FBA stuff and some of the private label stuff. And then again, when I very first started Print on Demand, she organized a whole bunch of our designs and got our designers kind of on the same track. But I wasn't a good leader at the time. I mean, I like to think that I'm a better leader now, and I probably would treat her differently, but sometimes I wanted my way. And so, which is one of the cons, to the all in, is that working with family can be challenging. And so that communication or that final decision maker thing, I was the final decision maker, boom, 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 hammering my fist upon the table stuff. And that just shouldn't fly. Sometimes it does, but it only flies for a little while before it blows up in your face. And so we had a lot of arguments and a lot of frustration from her perspective, and me, a lot of apologies for me. And so, the all in does have its cons, or can have its cons, and you have to learn to get through those things, which, that one of the pros is, of course, you do, or you can learn from your mistakes together. If you are kind of partnering on that. And I would say that we did, but the one thing that we learned is that it's probably not good that we work together in this thing.
Exactly.
So, so that was our experience anyway.
I mean, sometimes you do figure that out, where it's like, man, I love you. And, we're obviously together and married and what have you, but maybe we should not work on this specific thing at the same time or together, because it's personality stuff. It's not an indictment on either person, but sometimes it can be really challenging. I'm working with family. The second is the on the fence type. The pros, it's still supportive, and you can potentially win over with slow growth and success. And I think a pro too is sometimes the on the fence is a great devil's advocate, because they might be seeing both sides of things, and so they'll pose questions to you that you maybe haven't thought about, which is good. You need that. The one thing with the all in is I think you need someone in your life to do that when you talk to them about ideas. And specifically knowing that their role in your life is to be the devil's advocate. So, and when I say devil's advocate, for someone who might be listening that doesn't know what I'm talking about and thinks that I'm talking about some kind of invocation of seance thing. No, it's not. It's literally when you come to someone with an idea, and their job is to find and kind of poke holes in your idea, your theory, find the weak spots, find what maybe you haven't thought about. You need to think about this. Sometimes it can come across like they're just being a gigantic jerk, but that's sometimes how people's minds just operate themselves, so they can talk through the idea. And if they get to a place of yes, then okay, yeah, you're right. No, it'll work, or no, or whatever. But I think it's an important person to have, whether it's your spouse or your friend or whoever. I think that it's needed.
Yeah. And I think certain personalities need this more. There are certain personalities that can kind of play their own devil's advocate, if you will.
Sure.
My personality is like, oh, shiny object. Woohoo, let's go, and I'm off to the races. And I've had to learn, again, this is something that I have learned and am learning, how to slow down and force myself to let someone ask the hard questions and really think through, because I have, kind of ready, aim, or what is it? Ready, shoot, ready, fire, aim. Yeah. Yes. That is, I'm like, let's go. And then I realize, oh man, we shouldn't have done that. Story time with Travis. I remember, well, you'll actually know this person. I had an employee It was Greg, when Greg worked for me, and I won't say his last name, but we both know Greg. He's a great, great guy.
He's
and
awesome.
when he was working for me, we started, when he first started, we were doing retail arbitrage. While he was working for me, we started doing wholesale. We stopped doing wholesale. We started back with doing retail arbitrage, but with shoppers. So we had other people doing that. And then we started doing print on demand. And he was like whiplash, because, and he only worked for me for like a year.
Yeah.
Poor guy. And all of those things happened in that year. Meanwhile, all of the other ups and downs of regular business.
Sure.
But he was trying to, follow my vision, which was just going all over the place. And had I had somebody that, could kind of talk me off the ledge a little bit and be like, hey, let's not jump on this yet. Let's really focus in on this one thing. Right. I think, I remember emailing him like a year later or something and saying, hey man, I'm really sorry for the way I was a boss to you. I realize now how loyal and you really wanted to help me succeed, but I just was not. I just had you chasing all of these, shiny objects with me, and that was no way to really treat you. So, I think that devil's advocate piece is really important, and it's definitely a pro of somebody if you have that personality type that wants to chase after those things, that on the fence spouse or significant other can really kind of slow you down a little bit. That's very positive, actually. That's a big pro. Yep.
Huge. Some of the cons, there might be this kind of sense of pressure, which with doing business or an entrepreneurial endeavor, there is pressure that comes with it. I think there's a healthy pressure, and then there's a toxic kind of pressure. In this particular instance, there could be a toxic type of pressure where there is constant need to prove yourself right, to prove your significant other that you did the right thing. And if they're, kind of holding it over your head, there's that possibility where they're like, hey, you took this money and did this. Where's the profit? You know what I mean? It can be really, really toxic and create a lot of tension. And it can lead to kind of a get rich quick. Travis, explain what that means, like leading to a get rich quick statement.
Yeah. I just think that because of that pressure, if you allow that pressure to kind of lead your decisions, you could try for a quick buck and maybe throw something up, that is trademarked, or just to get some sales so you can show, hey, you see, this is working. And I think this is a con really for the next one, the oh hell no too, because you want to kind of throw it in their face, and be like, see, I told you so. But it's definitely something that you have to combat. You really want, with all of these, I think we all kind of want to move our significant others into that all in category. And the only way to do that is going to be with success, with growth, with, your business growing, with success, with some profits actually coming in. And I think there is an inherent danger to trying to make it happen faster than it needs to, or that it should organically. And that's kind of what I meant by that whole get rich quick temptation. Just don't go there. Just slow and steady does actually win the race. It can be painful, but you'll learn so many valuable lessons along the way, and you will definitely be better for it. And I think, your relationship with your significant other will also benefit from doing it the right way. Because if it does blow up in your face, they get to say, I told you so.
Yep. So the third type here is, as we've referenced, the oh hell no. Man, pros. There's one. Likely, it'll be the least amount of money that you risk. Because if your significant other is not on board, I don't know that you're going to have much of capital to start with necessarily. Man, but go ahead, Travis. You have.
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to say the first thing when we were writing our notes, you wrote, are there any pros at all? and I do think, it is kind of a good thing that you wouldn't risk a lot of money. And luckily print on demand is something, is a medium,
low barrier of entry, right?
Yeah. A business that you can actually really start with a very, very small amount of money. If not completely free, if you can design something or, or whatever, but I there's probably some more pros. Maybe it would, I think just off the cuff, I'm thinking like it would probably force you to look to other people in the industry and find resources just to have some emotional support. So maybe you find this podcast and it's like, oh, thank you, Travis and Josiah for, or a Facebook group, or you find other Facebook groups that are doing print on demand or something like that, that can really kind of give you that emotional support that your significant other is not giving you in this endeavor.
Sure. Yeah. We'll gladly be your emotional support people. If you need us, and then you can, take us on trips for free, because we're emotional support animals, people, things. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's a rabbit trail. So coming back, so the cons, we've kind of mentioned, you're on the journey alone. And I think that, one of the things that my dad told me, my dad was a pastor. One of the things he always told me was in regards to ministry. He said, son, ministry is not meant to be done alone. And he would then tell me, in fact, nothing is really meant to be, business-wise, endeavors, doing things like this. You don't want to do it alone. You need to have people around you. And so I always remember that ministry is never fun when you have to do it alone. And so that to me is, not having that particular support from your spouse, it does hurt, but you can find others that will support you, that maybe will even go in on it with you, that you can have someone that will offer that, because you don't want to do any of it alone. It's no fun. You know what I mean? It's just no one to share the successes with, no one to commiserate with on the failures, no one. All of those things take an extra toll when you have to absorb it by yourself, and there's no one to really process with. And then, as Travis said, there's the extra pressure if you make a mistake, which again can lead to that get rich quick kind of stage.
Yeah. Speaking to that kind of being on the journey alone, I'm reading a book, or actually listening to it. I subscribe to Audible and listen to books all the time in my car, podcasts and books. It's called Who, Not How.
Oh, bro, I'm reading that book right now.
Are you really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're literally the third person that I've heard this from. Like there's so many people reading this book. I don't know. Yeah. But it's super cool. And I like one of the thoughts behind that book. And then Josiah, feel free to fill in the blanks if I leave anything out or you have additional thoughts. Yeah. But when you were talking, it was just reminding me of how like everything in our life, like even our school, is set up in such a way where, if you get other people to help you on your homework or on your test, it's called cheating. And so we're like indoctrinated to do, we're conditioned to do this all on our own, everything on our own. And the idea behind the book is it's not the how, it's the who. And so why would I ever do all of these things that or why would I try to figure out how when there are other people out there that I can connect with that already know how? And so it's more the who than it is the how. And then obviously I'm only in, not too far. It's a pretty short book. It's like, at least the audio is pretty short, and I'm only in like an hour or so out of the 5, but so far it's been very interesting. What have you gotten from that book?
No, I think that's, so I got it from the pastor at my church. Madeline and I are kind of stepping into kind of leadership roles, and he was like, hey, all of our leadership, I'm requiring them all to read this book. It's called Who, Not How. And talking about finding the right people, empowering them to do it. And it's the whole book kind of is that idiom that says, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, take people with you. Yeah. So that's the whole idea is, in the intro of the book, they specifically cite Michael Jordan as an example.
Right.
That by himself, Michael Jordan, who knows if he would have won a championship, but he certainly wouldn't have won 6.
Right.
Without the Scottie Pippen and the Dennis Rodman of that team. That's
Phil Jackson.
The triangle offense that was brought in from Phil Jackson. Without those people being placed into those roles to help facilitate Michael Jordan, who was great because he had great players around him, we don't know if he would have experienced any level of the success that he did. So it is about like, it's also the, identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses, find someone whose strengths are your weaknesses, find out who that who is. Are you not good at design? Hire that out. Are you not good at capturing footage and making content for your social media channels? Hire that out as you are allowed to, as far as financially speaking, but you don't have to do it by yourself, because none of us are masters at everything. And as business owners, as entrepreneurs, your energy needs to be focused on how to best grow the business and working on it and hiring out the other things that can help facilitate that goal that you might not A, need to spend time on, or B, have the ability or skill to spend time on.
Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible aside. But it's funny that you're actually reading it too. It's a, guys, check that out. I'll see if I can find some link or something in there to maybe Amazon or something for that book. So you guys can check that out. But I mean, back to the 3 kind of like people or spouses or significant others. I think.
Oh, let me say one other thing real quick.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
About that book that is crazy to me, and it mentions it in the intro. So the author is Dan Sullivan. He's by author, I mean he's the guy that thought of the whole concept of who, not how. He didn't write a single word of this book. Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote the book because Dan identified that this guy knows how to write a book, and he's the who that I need. I've never done it before. I'm going to entrust him completely, like 100% to write this book. So I just also thought that was fascinating in regards to how that book was made. But continue about the 3 types. Yeah,
I was just going to say that I think in all 3 of these types, we're always trying to kind of get everybody to that top, the all-in type of spouse, and I think one of the ways you could do that is by utilizing kind of this who, not how mentality to basically empower others to do the business, and being kind of the focal point that all you're doing is just encouraging and, and passing on and saying, oh, this challenge came up. Well, who can I empower to take that challenge on, as opposed to taking it all on yourself? So it's really a mental shift. It's, but I think to the point of the podcast and the spouses and significant others of the business leaders, that's going to get them to that all-in place sooner, because you're going to have more time available for them, and you're going to be more successful in the long run. Just don't take any shortcuts. I mean, that's really the bottom line. Empower others, and watch the dollar bills flow.
Watch it rain. Get your umbrella. I saw another dad joke. Here's a bonus dad joke. It said, I would like to believe that the man who invented the umbrella was going to name it the Brella, but he hesitated.
Totally.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And I know I told you at the end of this, I'd tell you guys which one my wife is, but the reality is it's very dependent on the idea I bring to her. There are many times where she's like, hell yeah, that's a great idea, I'm all in. And there's other times that she's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean? And it is very dependent on what I bring. Most of the time though, she is a really good devil's advocate, and she likes, cool. she'll kind of, work that. And I tend to, if she has an idea, I tend to start with yes and then work my way to no, instead of we're starting at no and trying to convince myself yes. I'm always like, yeah, let's do it. And then you ask those questions. And if you end up at no, then that's your answer. But always start at yes, because that makes discussions much easier. So anything else, Travis, about these? Anything else about these 3 types? I'm sure there might be more. There might be 4, but about the 3 we've talked about. Any closing thoughts?
I feel like we've given some great marital advice, and relationship advice. So, this this podcast is about an hour. What do we charge? 120 an hour. So send your checks.
We'll post a Venmo and the link. You can. No, I was just gonna say, we always talk about the hypothetical day of when we do bonus content behind a paywall, but maybe relationship advice with Travis and Josiah would be a paywall show where we just espouse, obviously, our extensive knowledge on relationships. Yes, thorough knowledge. Okay, so, well, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Print on Demand cast. It was fun kind of discussing something that pertains to entrepreneurial endeavors, but not necessarily just specifically print on demand. I think that was good. If you guys have any other ideas, subjects like that, where it deals with just being an entrepreneur overall, let us know. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. And you can do that by going and joining the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/print-on-demand-cast. Our pretty links are not fixed yet, so you have to go a long way. They're not pretty. No, they're not. So, but all the links will be in the show notes. But you can let us know there. You can reach out to us, info@printondemandcast.com, and let us know your thoughts as well. And as always, wherever there are podcasts, the PODcast is there for you. I think we're on like 9 platforms, which is kind of wild. So we're definitely there. Again, as always, I'm going to beseech you, great word usage, beseech you to leave a 5-star review on Apple. Leave a comment. You can also review on Spotify now and leave 5-star reviews if that's your platform of choice. I think according to the statistics, we have a lot of people on Apple Podcasts and some on Spotify. So if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, please do leave us a 5-star review and review us. So with that, anything else, Travis, before we put a bow on this and send it home?
Not a thing.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, we'll see you guys, and you'll hear us next week right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.